to the proper level for discussion, which is comparing it to the Red Guards of Mao Zedong, which led to the death of 30 million Chinese people. I'm sending you a copy of my great book called Government Zero, where I touch on this topic. And stay on the line, because I really want to get to that, where I did touch on this. Not certainly what went on in Missouri, because it didn't happen yet, obviously. But take a look at this. Speaking in the year of 2013, Obama's communications director, Anita Dunn, had this to say at a high school graduation. The third lesson and tip actually comes from two of my favorite political philosophers, she said, Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa. Yes, she praised the same Mao Zedong who intentionally killed tens of millions of his own citizens in political purges and unintentionally killed at least 15 million more trying to implement his disastrous Marxist economic policies. Liberal politicians, I write, and media do this all the time. They correctly criticize Hitler for killing 6 million people, but turn a blind eye toward the killing of tens of millions by socialist dictators. This is certainly the way Obama looks at communists like Fidel and Raul Castro, and likely the way Pope Francis sees them too. He may not condone the oppression of the Castro regime, but he can rationalize it away as long as the regime remains committed to the, quote, social justice of communism. My friends, whenever you hear the word social justice, understand that behind that kind little student's face, or behind that professor's quiet little demeanor, is a hangman's noose. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. All right. Here we are on the Savage. It's a very depressing day when you see a thug like this. This lying, he's so silk smooth. This Josh Ernst, the spokesmouth for Obama, celebrating the courage of the protesters in Missouri, saying that they have shared values and a commitment to fighting hate and intolerance. How? By espousing hate and intolerance? Saying that they're promoting an atmosphere where all the students who were admitted can find a home there. How? By making everyone else tremble in fear of the thuggery? By calling for muscle to defeat and beat a reporter up, as one of their dumb professors did? She should be fired, of course. Appeals court, though, finally stepped in and stopped Ayatollah Obama. That's the only good news I can see out there. Ayatollah Obama has been stopped by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, who said, no, you can't grant amnesty to 4.3 million illegal aliens. You can't do it. You can't do it. You don't have that power or authority. Will Obama obey what the judges have said? Or will he continue to go around the law because he's a law unto himself, along the lines of Mao Zedong? We also heard that the University of Missouri Police have asked students to report hurtful speech. This is the first time in American history that speech itself has been criminalized. Why is it being criminalized? Because of left-wing thugs on the campus. Those are some of the topics. Again, tonight is the debate. I'm sure we'll all watch some of it or all of it. And I will appear right after the debates on Newsmax television for some commentary. And it's on DirecTV channel 349, Dish channel 223. And you can watch it online at NewsmaxTV.com for my commentary. I'll be doing that from time to time because I enjoy working with them, and I like doing it from the convenience of my own Skype studio. I don't have to go into a television station. It's fun for me, that's all. And I get to reach a different kind of audience, and I get to wear my, I guess I could wear a jacket and tie myself, and I can show you I actually can do a Windsor knot. If you actually look at my appearances on Larry King or Newsmax or wherever else I was, you could see that although I criticize people in the media for doing ties, I actually do a better Windsor knot than most of them. My mother was a stickler on that. In fact, it's an interesting side story. I don't know if I want to regale you with some of this petty humor, but I remember in the first grade, we were very poor, but I had a blue suit. My mother insisted, although we were poor, I would dress well. And she bought me a blue suit and a shirt and tie. And she said, "You're going to look the best in school." Well, I was ashamed to wear a suit and tie during assembly periods, but I did. I'd be red-faced, hair scrubbed and all. But because I was the only kid in that poor school, I think it was PS 48 in the Bronx, that had a suit, the teacher made me the announcer. And I remember to this day getting up in front of the auditorium and speaking to this vast sea of kids and how good it felt to be speaking to them. I was actually born to be a speaker. I didn't know it at the time. Most people would freeze up. They'd be frightened. I actually liked it. And what I learned is that I had the ability to move an audience. Of course, you get up there, you say, "Oh my God." But within a few seconds, you realize that if you can do it, you do it. And that you have a power of persuasion or of influence or of control to move an audience. And here I sit so many decades later in front of a microphone, still having the attention of so many people who've listened to me for 20 years now. And I want to thank you for that. It's a great honor, is all I can say, to still be relevant in a world that's becoming increasingly violent, increasingly hateful, and increasingly dangerous. To still be able to speak the truth to power is an amazing thing. To sit here and be able to point out the monstrosity of a president that we have. I should say the monstrosity of a presidency because it goes well beyond the front man for this left-wing mob that is running rampant upon all of our institutions. Now let's go to some of the callers on the Savage Nation. Yeah, Veterans Day is tomorrow, isn't it? Is it tomorrow, Veterans Day? We'll have a special show for sure. KSFO, Rocky, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
I was listening to you talk about this progressive movement. It got a big start during the Vietnam demonstrations of the 60s.
Yes, these are the offspring, the intergenerational progeny of the 60s, the same old communists who wrecked America's campuses in the 60s have infected the minds of an entirely new generation, now under the guise of racism, sexism, etc.
Exactly. Only
Rocky, a copy of Government Zero goes up. I hung up on him too quick. I couldn't even finish the name of my own word. Now, what's going to happen when Chairman Malbama goes before the Supreme Court with his desire to grant amnesty to 4.3 million illegals is very interesting. When Chairman Malbama shops it to the Supreme Court, as he has done, will Justice Roberts, many of us suspect Roberts is has been turned, let's put it that way. Ever since he gave that shocking opinion on Obamacare, we've all asked, what does the administration have on Roberts? Remember? I mean, we're talking the average person who's intelligent enough to pay attention to the media, wants to know how this guy Roberts did a thing like that. And they say, well, he must be blackmailed. We don't know. Who knows? But we'll see. Well, it won't be tomorrow. It could be years till I actually hear it at the Supreme Court. And if Roberts does it again, then we'll know for sure through parallel evidence that he is being blackmailed. I mean, that's the only conclusion you can come to. What else would you come to? That suddenly became a liberal? He was appointed as a conservative member of the Supreme Court, and every vote is that of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. WBOB. Chaim, welcome to the program. What's on your mind, Chaim?
Thank you. I think you're missing just one point, and that is that since the emperor was elected, he has ruled Congress and this country by threats and fears. I've never known of another Congress that was willing to back down from every single piece of legislation just because the emperor or the president at the time decided that I'm going to tell you if you pass that law, I'm going to veto it. How many bills did we not see go through in any step of passage just because the emperor said, it doesn't matter whether I'm wearing clothes or not, I'm going to veto that bill? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, no, he is obviously a petty dictator, and he's very dangerous. He has instituted a new Cold War with Russia, as I've said. He is flexing, he's saber-rattling with China. He is a very dangerous, out-of-control individual who I believe is mentally unstable or completely crazy altogether, Chaim. I've said this for months, at great risk to my career. I personally think Obama is showing all the signs of psychopathic behavior. Now, just because Larry David finds him amusing, just because Robert De Niro thinks he's a wonderful president, doesn't mean that we all have to agree with them. Hi, I'm sending you a copy of Government Zero, a book that I wish you will give to a liberal relative over the Thanksgiving turkey. Unless you're having a tofu turkey, I think it will be safe to bring it to your Thanksgiving dinner. If, on the other hand, you're not serving an actual turkey, and because you have so many liberals in the family that you can't have a turkey for Thanksgiving, or you can't even celebrate Thanksgiving because they're so brainwashed, well, if it's a tofu turkey on another day, I suggest you don't bring a copy of Government Zero to dinner, because they're liable to cook it at Fahrenheit 451, if that's the temperature. Did I remember it correctly, Robert? Is it 451, the temperature at which paper burns? Because that's what's going to happen next at the journalism schools. They'll have a gigantic, massive book burning because they may find certain books hurtful or offensive to minorities. And therefore, there's only one thing to do with hurtful books, and that's to set them alight at Fahrenheit 451.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
You see the whatever coming home to roost on the campuses where the lunatic fringe, which will one day be moving into corporate jobs and using hysteria and Maoist tactics, will soon be dictating corporate policy. The lunatics who think that they have the right to scream and shout and tell everyone to shut up at Missouri are not actually a symptom of an illness. They are the illness. The illness has been seen before. It's been seen in the Soviet Union. It's been seen in communist China. It's been seen in Cambodia. It's seen in Cuba. And in Government Zero, I covered this issue of, is Obama a Muslim? And I've told you, no, he's a Maoist. He's not a Muslim. He's a Maoist, a quiet Maoist, a stealth Maoist. And let me begin at the beginning. This is a very serious topic. I have long felt that this administration is filled with Maoists. Now, people have wrongly called them Marxists. I've called them Leninists. But as I've observed this administration, I've come to understand that they're more politically associated with Mao Zedong than anyone else. The only thing missing thus far are the deaths and the death camps. The fact is, though, that the style, the techniques, and the methodology being used by Obama and this character, Josh Ernst, who must have to burn his clothing after every time he gives a press conference, is the technique that was practiced by the Mao Zedong acolytes. Many of you come out of colleges where you were subjected to brainwashing. Brainwashing going back, frankly, to your elementary school days. Brainwashing on what to think about gays. Brainwashing what to think about global warming. Brainwashing on what to think about illegal aliens who've invaded our nation. But it's all brainwashing. In fact, astonishingly, the president recently said that his daughters know that global warming is real and that the future generations will embrace this more so than the current generations, right out of Chairman Mao. The only difference is that in Mao's time, they took 10 and 12-year-old children and turned them into killers. They called them the Red Guard, and they had them kill their own parents, their own teachers. Anyone from the old generation was tortured and killed. Now, if you think I'm inventing this, just do a quick search on Mao Zedong, and you'll say, well, what does it have to do with Barack Obama? He's a nice Christian man. Is he? Is he a nice Christian man? Is that why he's flooding America with illegal aliens? Is that why he's flooding America with African Muslims in particular? Is that why he doesn't follow the law? Is that why he gets away with virtually anything? Because he's a nice Christian man? And you have to study who were China's Red Guards to understand what's going on in Missouri right now. And you will see that the Cultural Revolution in China, which took place between 1966 and 1976, is occurring right now under the Maoist in the White House, Barack Hussein Obama. I've written about this in the most important book of your generation, Government Zero, and I strongly advise that you go and pick up a copy in a bookstore or download a copy, wherever you can get one. Because if you think this is going to end in Missouri, I've got another guest coming for you. Because it's coming to a town council near you, an elementary school near you. These Red Guards must be stopped by you. Now, here's who led the mobs on campus. We have her name. Mizzou mass media prof, Melissa Click. So who is Dr. Melissa Click? It's laughable when I read you her background, and now you'll see why the university has become cesspools of lower living. This dummy earned her Ph.D. from the Department of Communication at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. Okay, on the face of it, that sounds legitimate. Her research interests center on popular culture texts. What does that mean? And audiences, particularly texts and audiences disdained in mainstream culture, what would that